Hi, I'm Liv,
And I'm Brit.
and this is the Reclaimed Motherhood Podcast.
This podcast is about coming back home to ourselves as women and as mothers.
We're here for the honest conversations, the ones about intuition, fertility, birth, parenting, relationships, holistic health, and the many seasons of womanhood that shape us.
We'll be sharing our own lived experiences, the things that we've questioned, unlearned, and reclaimed, so you feel encouraged to trust your body, your instincts, and your own inner knowing.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our very first episode of the Reclaimed Motherhood Podcast. I'm Olivia, and then we also have...
I'm Brit.
Brit. And we are the hosts of the podcast. And so this is our first episode. So we figured we would just take some time to share a little bit about each one of us and our experiences in life. And then from there, we'll start recording more podcasts and sharing all the things that we want to share with you guys. So my name is Olivia. Like I said, I am a mother to one with another one on the way. So almost two. And I have always had like this deep desire for natural healing and holistic health. And literally my whole family calls me a tree hugger. And that's like a title that I'm totally fine with because I am the black sheep in my family. So I come from a very medicalized family. My mom was a nurse my entire life. We have a ton of family members who are also nurses. And my dad worked for Big Pharma for 30 years. So I am literally night and day opposite of that. And that is why everybody calls me a tree hugger. But I think the things that I really wanted to share about are just the things that are so much so on my heart. And this is one of the main reasons Brit and I connected, is just because we have this passion for sharing the joys of motherhood. And obviously we can still acknowledge that like there are really hard parts of motherhood. There are certain seasons that are really difficult, but in a lot of our culture today and on social media and just in conversations you may have with people out in public about being a mom or birth or pregnancy, everything is just so it's shifted towards almost coming across as negative and just like something that's not enjoyable. And, oh, just wait for this, just wait for that. And you'll see what happens next. And I want to talk about the real things. And I also want to be like, no, motherhood literally changed my entire being. Like having my daughter changed my entire world. It changed all of my perspectives. It changed all of my priorities. It changed my body. It changed my mind. It changed every part of me. And so for the better, like I look back at pictures and like videos of myself and I'm like, I literally didn't even know who I was. I had no idea. And I look back and I'm kind of mortified. Like I really did not know who I was. I didn't know what mattered to me. I just was going along with the crowd. And so I'm so thankful for her. Like she truly is such a miracle and such a blessing. And I want moms to feel empowered and feel encouraged and not feel like, oh, well, I'm never going to get the old me back. Well, that's not the point of motherhood. You know, like with every season of motherhood and every child that you may have, you change and you grow. And it is so, so beautiful. Like it could make me cry if I kept talking about it because it just, these little beings come into our lives and they change everything for us. And it's hard. Yeah. But at the same time, I would not change any of it for the world. And I just want moms to know like, yeah, things are going to change. Your body's going to change. Your priorities are going to change. Your mind is going to change. So like everything that you do is going to change, but that doesn't mean it's not for the good of you as a woman. And, a little bit of background on me. I've had so many different jobs. So I'm just like always trying to think of like what was my title? My title is I'm a mom, but I've worked with children since I was 13 years old, in so many different capacities. I've worked as a toddler teacher, an infant teacher, a lifeguard, a swim instructor. Prior to having my daughter, I worked as a doula. So I learned a lot about the birth space. And that's something that Brit and I will be talking about moving into our podcast. But I'm just so passionate about motherhood and women being supported and knowing what they actually need and not feeling like they need to spend all this money and they need all these gadgets just rather more so tuning into what does my child need? What is my child telling me? Like, I need to stop listening to outside voices. And also just really spending the time not feeling like just because somebody is an expert in air quotes on something, that they know your baby best, because they just don't. And I think our society is so quick to label things and diagnose things. And I'm not for that. And that's where I feel like it is sometimes difficult to have conversations with people, because in our society, people want a diagnosis and they want to just put a baby or a human or whoever in a box and be like, well, we have to treat it this way and it's one size fits all. And that just doesn't apply. So yeah, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about all of these things. And now we're going to hear a little bit about Brit.
Thank you. Yeah, I loved hearing you share because we resonate on all of it,
Yeah.
and I could copy and paste what you said almost with most of it. So, yeah, so I'm Brit, and I am a mother of 3 adult children and then a toddler. And so I've experienced some different seasons of motherhood, and same with you, like you were saying, just wait until they do this, and just wait until they're 2, just wait until they're this. And then it's like, oh, just wait until they're a teenager. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate hearing that one. Is probably my least. I really dislike it when people say, just wait until you've got a teenager. And I'm like, the teenage years are my favorite.
I
I'm just going to say
know.
that right now. The teenage years are my favorite. And honestly, and then they become adults, and it's like, it's beautiful still. And you're still mothering. It's just, it looks completely different. But so yeah, I have 3 adults and then a toddler. And what else can I say about myself? Just like Liv, like very mindful about being holistic and holistic healing, and I am forever a student of German new medicine. So
Mhm.
I believe that the body is always working for us. It's not working against us, like most of us are raised to believe or programmed to believe. And I am all about not outsourcing our authority to these experts, in air quotes, like she said. And so also, um, hmm, I worked in dentistry for 18 years, and um, so I've done the whole working mom thing. It's a very stressful, high-paced job. And so I'm really passionate about mothers being home with their kids,
Mhm.
and that mothering is the most important work that we could be
Mhm.
doing. It's the most important ministry that we could be doing. And so in this season, I'm in a new season now where I get to be home. And so my youngest of the 3 adult children has been home with me the last couple of years. And it's the most beautiful thing. And I have had to work through a lot of regret
Yeah.
and grief around spending most of my older children's years being home, not being home, and working outside of the home. And then, yeah, being busy with all the other activities and the dinner from a crock pot at 9 o'clock at night some nights, and just that really rushed life. And yeah, and so I'm in a new season of motherhood where I have slowed way down, and very intentionally. It wasn't something that happened easily overnight. So I'm enjoying this new season of motherhood, and um, yeah. So I guess that's all I have to say right now. I just really want women to gain confidence that their body is working for them, and that they do not have to outsource, and to trust their God-given intuition, trust their design. And yeah, that's really what I teach with my courses and with birth. And yeah, that's what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. I feel like, so one of the things that Britt and I wanted to like just preface our podcast with is that these are going to be free flowing conversations between 2 moms, like very honest conversations, but just talking about things in a way where it's not super like interview style. It's just going to be us going back and forth. And because there's just been times where Britt and I have just sat and talked for like 2 hours, And then we're like, we should just record that and share it with moms. And it's just a conversation between us.
Because we
And
really want to be encouraging to all of
yeah,
the mothers out there that, like you're saying, they're hearing all of these horror stories and like
yeah,
dreading the future with their children or even dreading having children. And our hearts are to encourage moms.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think one point that you mentioned that I really have had to learn is just how to slow down. Like I have
Mhm.
always been just go, go, go. I've worked from such a young age. And prior to being married to my now husband, I was the primary caretaker and breadwinner for my daughter and I. And so I'm just having to learn how to really slow down and be so intentional about not rushing when I don't have to. And just it's a challenge. It really genuinely is a challenge for me. And I have to be reminded of that. But I do think that that's one of the most beautiful things about children is that they force us to slow down. And and to your point, like really depends what age, but when you seriously just slow down and just soak in those moments with your kids, you're like, literally nothing else matters. Like,
Nothing
why was
else
I stressed
matters.
about that? Why was I worried about that? Why was I trying to
Mhm.
plan the next thing or do the next thing? And
Yeah.
I think that's just, it's such a deeply ingrained mindset, specifically
Mhm.
in the US. Like in other countries, they do it differently. But in the United States, for moms, it's like, no, you have to do all the things. You have to keep going. You just have to. And you have to do
Mhm.
all of these things. And you can't just slow down and choose one or two things.
Yeah. And with that, I've been reflecting a lot on just my time with Edie, my um, youngest, my 17-year-old. That when we've been home, just the conversations that we've been able to have are priceless. Like those are just the most valuable things in the world. And um, that's really what our kids need is for just slowness and that intimate conversation that the there's nothing that compares to slowing your life down and just having the conversations with your children. And I that's part of my regret with the older ones is like there was just busyness. And I remember thinking like, oh, we have car time, there's a car ride, so I've got them locked in, for this amount of time, so I'm going to make the most of this car ride to whatever practice or game or tournament. And we're going to have good conversation, and you just miss so much when your life is that busy. You miss a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's hard because when you're in that mindset where you're like, no, this is what has always been done. This is what every single generation has done. And honestly, it's not really the truth, which is
It's not.
also the fascinating part to me because I just remember when I was studying to really work in birth work and work with mothers. I wish I could remember the name of it, but there was this study that was done just on how women give birth and how they take care of their babies after the fact, like talking about baby wearing and co-sleeping and breastfeeding. And I remember I was like one of I think the first people to do that within my family, with the exception of one of my cousins. I was one of the first women to do that. And so everybody just thought I was like this weirdo who was doing all these things so differently. And I was like, no, this has been done for hundreds and thousands of
This
years.
is how our ancestors did this. This is
Yeah. And
completely
so
normal and natural. Mm.
it's just fascinating to me because I'm like, this feels best for me. It feels best for my family. It
Yeah.
allows me to not only sleep better, she sleeps better. Like, and so again, like just reiterating the fact that like if somebody is coming and talking to you, whether you're pregnant or you're newly postpartum, and their advice is not helpful and or asked for, you don't have to follow it. Like you don't have to listen to it. And it's not saying like you don't appreciate people sharing their own experiences, but I do
Yeah.
think we need more of a focus on the positive rather than just the relatable stuff or like the complaining stuff.
Mhm.
Because two things can be true at once. It can be motherhood is beautiful and amazing, and it's messy and hard. It can be both.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes you're late to church because your daughter pooped in the sink. I mean,
yeah,
that happens to me. So.
like sometimes life just happens. But that's real though. Like that's
Yeah.
real. And so I just think even sharing a story like that with a positive spin, like it's
Yeah.
just that is real life.
Yes.
And I want our conversations to really be empowering and inspiring to mothers and encouraging, because one of the other things I think that our society is really hyper focused on, which I have a really hard time with, is just like this mindset that like if you have babies, children like take away everything from you, and like you'll never get your life back, you'll never get your body back. And so there's this mindset of like, oh no, I don't need to have children, I don't want to have children, they're expensive, all of these things. And it's like that's literally not the truth. like
Mm-hmm.
like Britt and I were just saying, like, yeah, motherhood can be difficult, but there are so many beautiful parts of it, and I wish that our
There are
society.
too many to name. I mean, it's like the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I have a friend who she's worked as a doula for at least maybe 10 years or more than that. And she just had her first baby. And so she's in this brand new season, but she was sharing on social media about her pregnancy and all the things that she was doing to be really intentional with the food she was eating and how she was moving her body and taking care of herself. And she had a really great pregnancy. Like she felt really well. And she was sharing that with people, and people were so upset. They were so upset that she was like, I feel great and this is awesome and I am so strong and I can do this. And it's not in a boastful way, but just like, I'm really paying attention to how I'm taking care of my body and this growing baby in my body. And so many people were like upset that she wasn't sharing, like, oh, my back hurts all the time or I'm uncomfortable when I sleep. And it's like, yeah, we could talk about that, but that further deters women who either don't have children or who may want to have children from even considering becoming a mother. And
Mhm.
that part makes me sad, because and then you see these women who so badly want to become mothers, and then
Yeah.
they're having a hard time. And then again, like this could go into a whole other conversation about like holistic health and hormones, like there's just so many lies that people are told, and we just want to talk about the honest parts and also the amazing parts, and just be real about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, that's a little bit about us. We weren't sure how long this first episode was going to be, but we have so many things that we want to talk to you guys about on this podcast. We were just like going back and forth. I think it was like a couple months ago now, just talking about all the different topics that we could deep dive into. And the thing is that they're so broad, and so we're trying to narrow it down so we can actually address each one in our episodes. But so the main things we wanted to talk about are like before you become a mother, and like taking care of your
Mhm.
body, taking care of your health in a holistic way and being mindful of that. And the other part too, like Britt was saying, is just we want to take a deep dive into German new medicine and talk about that a bit and our own experiences with that and what we've learned from that, because I learned about German new medicine probably 3 or 4 years ago, but prior to that, I had never heard of it. And I've actually learned a lot from Britt, and she shared her own story with me about that. And so we want to talk about that, because there are just so many different ways that we can treat things that are going on within our bodies without having to involve big pharma. And I think that's one of the lies that people get sold is, oh no, you're diagnosed with this and this is the only way you can address it, and you have to go on this, that, and X, Y, and Z. And that's simply not true.
Yeah.
Um,
Even just diagnosing, period, is
right. No,
yeah.
the whole
Yeah. You
diagnosing,
and I are the same. No, don't diaggnose anything. I don't want a diagnosis. Do not label me. Do not label my children.
no. The only label I will take is mother. Okay. I will take that. I'll wear that
Yeah.
proudly. But
Yeah.
all the other things, like, no, I like what you were
Mhm.
talking about. I wholeheartedly believe that like our body is capable of healing when it's given the chance,
Yes.
when it's in, whether it's changing the environment that you're in, or changing the food that you're eating, or changing your stress levels, or how you sleep. There's so many different layers to it. And
Relationship dynamics. Mhm.
yeah, relationship dynamics, so many things. And even just taking the time to really reflect on how certain events in your life have led up to where you are now and how different things have shown up for you. So many people think that when something is coming up in our body, it's a bad thing, and because that's how it's been framed. And I want people to know that that's your body telling you something. Your body is literally communicating with you.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean, oh, we have to cut this out, or we have to do this, or we have to do that. It's like, no, okay, hold on, slow down. Let's look at this. Let's zoom out and find just a different perspective. Because one of the things with, I mean, my family in particular, like I was talking about being medicalized, I have family members and friends in my life who have been diagnosed with certain things, and their initial knee-jerk reaction is to just go big pharma route. And then me being the research crazy tree hugger, and like, let me spend hours researching like natural or like alternatives and remedies and all these things. But people really, if they don't believe that their body is capable of healing, it's really hard for them to be like, oh, maybe I should try that. Even if it's not the most gone down path, or I've never heard of it. I think that's the thing, is that we need more conversations about like lived experiences too, not just like, here's one study, because
Like
most
testimonies, like lived experience and testimonies. And
yeah,
I think it changes the way that you live your life and you raise your family when you have just basic knowledge. Even you don't have to know the complete ins and outs of all of it. It's just like the idea of it can get you at least thinking outside of outsourcing it to somebody else, and feeling, because when you outsource, there's like this urgency of oh, I need to take care of this right now, or we need to do this right now. There's like this urgency that they put on us, and almost like there are no other solutions other than, and we need to do this quickly. And so when it's framed that way, we get caught up emotionally in that, when if you just took a minute and reflected and looked at this different perspective, honestly, it's really super conservative to do it that way. And there rarely is any urgency to any of these diagnoses that they come up with, that they give us. So it's just a really, it's just such a conservative approach. There's nothing harmful about approaching it in this way. Really only beneficial in learning about yourself as well. So, yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think one of the other big things, because I mean, we are talking about it, so it applies to this as well, is just your mindset going into things, right? Like, one of the main reasons I don't like diagnoses is because sometimes people will hear a diagnosis and they will make that it. Like,
It's like part of their identity too.
it becomes a part of their identity, because they believe that. They're like, oh, this is an expert. They've been working in the field for however many years. They told me I only have 5 good years left. So
Well, and
that's
guess
it.
what? They just casted a spell on you at that point.
Right.
That's what that is. They cast a spell on you. And then, yes, that could be something that becomes the outcome because you, like you said, you believe it. So,
Wholeheartedly. And
yes.
I think, I mean, this goes across the board. People do not realize how powerful our mindsets are. So, like, when we're talking about literally everything that we have mentioned thus far, we're talking about womanhood, we're talking about hormones, we're talking about holistic health, becoming a mother, pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum, all of those things, our mindset and what we genuinely believe becomes our reality.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people also don't really want to acknowledge or admit that, like, oh, wow, I actually really believe that. So now this is happening. But I've seen that happen time and time again, like over and over and over again. And so it's like, but we have the opportunity to shift our mindset. We have the opportunity to be like, no, I don't have to listen to a diagnosis that someone said, or I don't have to listen to that traumatic birth story and be terrified of my own birth. Or terrified of postpartum. I think, like, a lot of people, I mean, this might ruffle a few feathers, but I've seen so many women talking about being so afraid to have babies because they're so afraid of the postpartum period. They're afraid of postpartum depression. They're afraid of all of these things. And again, like, the quick fix for that is like, oh, here, just go on this medication. It's not like, okay, let's actually look at your life. Let's break down all these layers. What areas are you deficient in, like, literally vitamins and minerals, because growing babies, you're giving it all to your baby. You're giving so much to your baby. And I think that was one of the things that I learned the most was just about like how I really needed to nourish my body and take care of
Mhm.
me in order to show up better for my family.
Yeah.
And I think that sharing tips and things about that and like the parts that we've gone through and like how you can actually properly nourish your body, whether it's just in general or for,
Yeah, and nourishment comes in a lot of different forms, right? It's not
yes,
even, yeah, it's not even like vitamins and minerals specifically, but it's like our relationships and like emotionally and spiritually, like
yeah.
that is all nourishment.
Hmm.
And if we're lacking in any or all of these areas, then we're more likely to suffer from things like that. And honestly, that's the majority, I feel like, of the women that come to me for birth education classes. Their biggest fear that they say at the beginning is postpartum depression.
Yeah.
I don't want to suffer from this and worry of not being able to show up for their baby and their family. Um, and so learning how physiological birth
Work.
works and how your body, you intervene or you disrupt that process, then you are setting yourself up to be in a position that you might actually suffer from the baby blues, I guess is what they used to call
Yeah.
it, right? And so just having an understanding of how come that's been such a common experience for women, right? So having conversation around that as well.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, to your point, nourishment is not just food, it's not just
Mhm.
vitamins, not just minerals. And I think even having conversations about moving from the season of like womanhood, they call it maidenhood, where you don't have children,
Yeah.
and moving into motherhood, like there's like a process that I think a lot of women don't even really realize until they're there. But like I remember hearing the word matrescence, and like people have like they don't take time to be like, okay, this is who I was and this is who I'm becoming. And I have no
Mhm.
idea what that's going to be like. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And I don't know how that's going to change me. And while I understand like it's the unknown, like that can be scary, but having conversations about that and opening up conversations about that and talking to other women who are also mothers really does, it can make a huge difference. Like your like
Yeah.
in your overall mood and perspective on motherhood and life.
Mhm.
um, just talking
I think
about that.
there's hope restored when you're connecting with other women and you're hearing positive stories. And
Mhm.
honestly, like women, we love drama, right? Like a lot of a lot of us women would deny that we love drama, but we get caught up in the drama. And I think that's where we're hearing a lot of these stories on social media, even as they're creating these stories to put on their social media platforms because
Yeah.
they're going to help grow their platform or
Yes.
gain followers because their story is so dramatic. And um, that makes me really sad because it doesn't have to be that way. And if only we could see through the drama, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
have real conversations. And that's a piece that I feel like is missing. And hopefully we are able to give followers hope and encouragement and from this podcast because what we're missing is just this circle of women that we used to have these villages that we'd
I
have like
know.
I just dream about it, but like villages where we have like the grandmothers and the mothers and the aunties and sisters and cousins and just a village of women that come together and we raise our children together. And Liv, you posted that not that long ago. It was that
Yeah.
remind me of what it said, but it was like
I
having
can't.
sisters Moms
I,
next door.
I
Oh
think
my goodness.
I think I saved it. It was a post that I found because I'm actually reading this book called Fertile Ground. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
Okay, I haven't read it. Mm-mm.
I meant to send it to you. That's why.
Yeah, your
So
fault.
it's not my fault. But so it's a book in each chapter is for like each week of your pregnancy. Um, and literally, the chapter that I just read was talking about how we don't have the same sense of community as we used to. And so it's basically along the same lines of the post I shared, which is like, I dream of living in like a little village where you can pass off your baby to another mother or a grandmother or an auntie. And like, you can talk about breastfeeding. Somebody can change a diaper. If the mom needs to do something, you feel comfortable and safe leaving your baby with them. And Like that is literally what's lacking in our
Yeah,
society.
that's how
So
we're meant to live.
it is. And so we
Yeah.
can be honest about that. Like raising our
Mhm.
children now is very different than how it used to be, admittedly.
Yeah, and it just makes me so sad that we've got the great grandmothers living alone,
Yes.
and they have so much wisdom to pass on to us, even
Yes.
just them being around. And I'm just thinking of Chris's grandmom was just staying with us, and I just adore her. And just listening to her like singing, and
Yeah.
her listening to her reading stories, and um, we need that. We need
Yeah.
it. We need us all together. We need that village of sisters and mothers and great grandmothers, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's really lacking. And so, creating community within your own local communities is really
Mhm.
important. And I would love to share more about that if anybody was open to hearing like how to begin doing that within their own communities, because I think it's really, really needed, women coming together in person.
Yes.
Um, but at the very least, we can start here.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. Like I think that obviously creating this online platform where we are able to connect with one another and we're able to chat about these things is so important. But
Mhm.
also like creating that in-person community is really important too. And again, I think that's something that is lacking, but we can, like Britt said, she can share more about that. Um, but yeah, I feel like we've talked about like so many things that we want to talk about on the podcast, so we could literally just continue to sit here and chat.
Yeah, and
Uh,
our list is so much longer than anything we've even said. So it's pretty
yeah,
exciting to think about what's
it's
ahead.
it's so much longer. So yeah, if you guys are interested in hearing more, we're going to be launching episodes every Wednesday. And so this is the end of our first episode. And if you guys have any questions for us, or if there's any topics that you want us to chat about on here, please just let us know. Feel free to send us an email or send us a message on Instagram. We're happy to connect with you, but we really, really appreciate you guys taking the time and listening to our rants, our rants, our introduction, and then the things we care most about.
Yes.
All right, guys, we will be back next week. Hi, I'm Liv,
And I'm Britt.
and this is the Reclaimed Motherhood Podcast.
This podcast is about coming back home to ourselves as women and as mothers.
We're here for the honest conversations, the ones about intuition, fertility, birth, parenting, relationships, holistic health, and the many seasons of womanhood that shape us.
We'll be sharing our own lived experiences, the things that we've questioned, unlearned, and reclaimed, so you feel encouraged to trust your body, your instincts, and your own inner knowing.